All right, so we put out a poll because we want to get you guys more involved in the show now. So we had about 4 topics that we were talking about during our Thursday meeting. And so we put it up on Twitter, and overwhelmingly everybody wanted us to talk about what happened with Ruslan and John Gibbs, right? So I didn't know anything about this, so I had to do my research. And while I was doing my research, look what I found.
Hey guys.
So
let's not talk about. Let's talk.
Let's just talk with. Yeah, let's just figure this out together. So while doing my research, I found a video Ruslan did. He was doing a live, just kind of explaining what happened here. And I saw, like a clip the crew. I didn't even watch the whole thing yet because I didn't have time. But I saw something the crew put up, and then Jeremiah was telling me a little bit about it. In essence, John Gibbs was complaining about his situation with King's Dream and his masters, and saying that Ruslan wasn't paying him, and he took his masters, didn't give them back or whatever, right? And I thought this is an interesting topic because there's a lot to learn here. And since we got Ruslan here, we could learn it straight from the person who had to go through all this, right? Setting up a label, some of the pitfalls of that, things you would want to do differently. Should you even have a label? I mean, this is a lot to learn from here, right? So I guess I'll just ask you, just do a condensed version of your live real quick and give us the backstory on how did we get here.
Oh man, they really should go watch the full live because it's an hour. It goes over all the details. It covers all the facts in terms of what the agreement said, the timeline, so on and so forth. And it's a disagreement on 2 things. The first thing is like, what is a label's value when an artist doesn't have a following, when an artist has less than 500 followers, 1,000 followers, or doesn't have any followers on Instagram, right? And if a label comes along that is profitable, or an artist label that is profitable, that has a degree of social currency, clout, whatever have you, that has relationships that can get you into some venues or whatever, what is the value of that quote unquote label, right? And the idea of labels, I think, is just like we're gonna move past the idea of labels in general, right? But what we're really talking about is cosigns and cosigns. We're talking about helping somebody get to the next level, putting together systems, so on and so forth. And so that's the first part of the question: is that worth 50%? Is that worth 50%? Clearly, I think it is. I think, depending on who's watching and where they are in their process, some people may agree, some people may disagree. So that's the first part of the question. Then the discrepancy came in, and I think we've cleared it up at this point. The discrepancy came in that I took, I own, I prostituted. That clearly was solved when I pulled up the DistroKid from 2018, 2019, 2020, where he has been getting paid 50%. That the agreement that was signed was in 2015, after So Rebel came out, that the clause is the label owns the masters. Now, that was my fault listening to a lawyer and what the standard is. Well, you can't write it in this way because when an Interscope deal, you can't say both of y'all own it because the Interscope's not going to want to do it this way. So that was my mistake. We've always owned the master together. That's the fact of the matter. Our initial agreement was basically like a 1-sheet handshake agreement. We had to fix that for him to get the deal with Interscope and have like a real formal agreement, like a 7-page. It went from like a 1-page to like a 7-page with all the legal jargon or whatever. Both lawyers decided and went back and forth and so on and so forth. So that was the discrepancy I wanted to solve, right? And then in his IG live, he referenced not getting paid 2016, 2017. I sent him all the PayPal TuneCore invoices this morning, so he has those. I might go live tomorrow and show those as well. So at this point, it's like we can disagree on the merits of is a label, worthy of 50% or 60% or 20% or whatever the percentage is. That's one conversation we could have. But the question of like you not getting paid, like that's off the table. Like we can't talk about me not paying you when I paid you. And maybe you missed it. Maybe you didn't realize that it was coming into your DistroKid, or maybe you didn't realize the money was coming from TuneCore directly because I was sending the PayPals through TuneCore directly. So those are the 2 kind of different things that are being, I guess, discussed.
Okay. All right. So interesting. So it's interesting that we're here because I remember when you were in studio and you went hard for John Gibbs, man. You were like, because people were coming for him about cursing and, you know, smoking and all that kind of stuff, and you stood up for him. So it's a little sad because I know that these things they don't always last
and by
forever.
the way, I'll still stand up for him. Like that's still my dude. And none of this, I don't want there to be anything about him being a liar or any attack personally, because this is not to attack him personally. He maybe just didn't understand how the DistroKid thing was set up. Mm-hmm. He didn't catch the transactions coming from TuneCore. So I'm going to chalk it off as a misunderstanding, but nobody in no comment, and that's why the comment section on my videos off, nobody in any comment section should ever disrespect him. Because at the end of the day, that's a man,
right?
That's a husband. You know what I'm saying? That's a brother. That's an uncle. And so we're not going to smear his name, even if you agree with me in the situation. And I'm not going to do that to him because, like, man, that's the homie. Like, I want to be reconciled and not right. It's not about being right.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting, and I understand 100% how things like this can get hard. Ryan, Jeremiah, and I have been doing this for 15 years. And it's when you have friends and you start doing business stuff and you start doing well, that stuff can get dicey, right? Because like you were saying in the video, sometimes somebody has to do a lot of the behind the scenes work that doesn't get seen by everybody else. And then you can feel kind of slighted when that seems to be getting ignored, right? When things start to go well. So
it's like being the smart kid in the group. And the smart kid in the group tends to like do the research, put together the poster board, lay it all out. And then it's like, yo, but that dude is the quarterback. Like that dude is the quarterback. He's the cool guy. Hey man, here are the speaking points. Like, and you put your finesse on it. You know what I'm saying? And then he does some of the work with you. But you knew the hours and hours and hours and hours you spent behind the scenes. And maybe that's on my part. Like I wasn't turning in time cards. Hey, bro, I'm spending 10 hours a day on the Soul Rebel rollouts, Soul Rebel marketing, Soul Rebel album release tour that I got to be on, that I got to perform on, booking the shows, right? I didn't like lay that out and quantify that. And so again, maybe he just didn't understand how much work goes in behind the scenes. And remember, this is where we're at. I don't think I was at 10,000 followers yet. He may have been at 15,000, 20,000 followers. So we're not super big at this point, right? And for us to go on and do these tours and to sell those records and to have all that stuff, that stuff didn't happen by accident. Who since us has been able to do what we did at that level, under 20,000 followers? You can't really name an artist to be like, yo, these dudes is under 20,000 and they're out here touring and doing it. I mean, we was doing stuff bigger than artists twice, 3 times our size now aren't able to pull off. In 2015, 2016, 2017, when the genre was smaller, we was getting secular bags, not Christian show, like 1,500 in our own home city, 600 at the House of Blues. So we was really getting it. And it was dope. You know what I'm saying? It was really
we
cool.
saw it. We brought y'all out to one of the concerts out in what's that place called?
San Diego.
No, it was
Temecula.
Temecula, yeah. We brought y'all out for that. And we saw the fan base. It was crazy. But here's the real question. This is the big one.
Yeah.
Obviously John was blowing up, right? People love John. Was there any jealousy for John getting all the attention in the group? Was that an issue? Did that cause the rub?
That's a great question. My heart, obviously, what is in a heart, right? Like your own heart in terms of what's happening and what is the passage in Jeremiah, how wicked is the heart, for it does not even know its own wickedness. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, nah, man, by and large, right? It was like, yo, this is as a business person, I'm looking for where the momentum is at. So if the momentum is here, I'm going to go here and I'm going to build that up, regardless of how I may feel as an artist or as a creative. So by and large, my actions were quantified by our actions. My actions was, yo, this man, he got it. He got the spark. This is a smart business move. Let's do this. And then everybody breaks apart and does their own thing. So Rebel to Dream Junkies to everybody doing their own thing. That was the plan.
Yeah. So you're basically saying even if some of that may have been cropping up, you fought against that and you made sure that you made sure everything was the right way. Because you went on a little bit of a rap run afterwards, almost like I could do this too. You know what I mean? And was that
100%.
motivated?
And that's the thing. What was Ruslan doing before John Gibbs? Right? What was I doing before? I was on 2 Dope Boys before John Gibbs. I was getting featured on All Hip Hop before John Gibbs. Like we're just talking just like what are the cloudy things that were relevant back in 2010. Yeah. I was doing that in 2010 on the biggest secular blogs, right? I was doing that. Now, what did Ruslan do after John Gibbs? Well, I discovered quite a few more artists that are pretty fantastic. Yeah. I sold a lot of records. And I made more money since John Gibbs, right? And I don't, that's not a flex, but like I could pull 1099s out. I could pull those taxes out, right? Because I pay my own taxes. Yeah. So this is a window of time. That was a beautiful window of time. And I wouldn't lie. And I'm not going to lie and be like, yo, it doesn't feel nostalgic to think about those days. It was a cool time, 2014 to 2016. It was dope, man. Those are really good years for us creatively. But let's zoom out. Let's zoom out. What is Ruslan known for now? You know what I mean? And so
I will say this though, that run you went on, you got better. That motivated you, bro. Yeah. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? He is pissed.
For sure. And I'm gonna continue getting better, and I'm gonna continue making music and producing music and producing for artists, like without a doubt.
That's good.
So Ruslan, I have a question for you. Do you feel like with him going public with this information, like, you know what I'm saying, like on his IG, the whole story and everything, do you feel like, man, I want to be reconciled with him, but I also got to clear my name so people don't think I'm a true businessman with King's Dream?
Yeah. Here's the thing, man. This stuff has been talked about behind the scenes for years. He's been telling people this stuff for years. Again, I'm gonna chalk it up to he didn't understand how to DistroKid and where the TuneCore money was coming from. But this has been going on for years with mutual friends and friends that I potentially like fell out with and had to go and like, no, this is what actually happened, and we're cool with. So this has been going on behind the scenes for a while. Like as of like a couple of days ago, we were talking to one of our mutual friends, and she flat out said, yeah, John's under the impression he hasn't been getting paid at all. Okay, now I got to go live on YouTube and really break it down, saying this stuff to other artists in the community, big artists in the community, the biggest artists in the community behind the scenes, right? So you keep saying this stuff privately. And again, hey man, you could disagree on what my worth was as a whatever entrepreneur, creative, cool. We could and I may even agree with you on the principle that an artist maybe shouldn't sign with a label. Like I may even agree with that in hindsight to an extent, depending on what particulars we're talking about. But to say I didn't pay you, that's where I got to draw the line and say, no, now you've made it public and I have the receipts, right? You could feel a way, but we can't, you can have your own opinions, but what we cannot do is develop our own facts and develop our own black and white numbers, because the numbers aren't lying. So that would be the thing that really rubbed me the wrong way. The opinion stuff is fine. I'm cool with it. I probably agree with some of it.
Yeah. Okay. So let me do this because I like both of y'all a lot, man. So I want to see, is this even possible to reconcile? Because honestly, when I heard everything was breaking up with Dream Junkies, it made me sad because I loved y'all. Like I thought you guys creatively were killing it, setting a nice little blueprint about getting some success and then touring that thing. We went to when you came to Atlanta at Blueprint Church. Like, I mean, we just saw the whole thing. Like it was going really well. So it was sad because it's not that I saw that coming, but whenever somebody kind of shoots up, it can cause problems. And I was afraid for you guys because I knew that could be a problem. So is reconciliation possible? Do you think that this is going to help with that or make it worse? Because it sounds like a misunderstanding is what caused this. Because everybody is talking about masters now, owning your own masters, no 360s, blah, blah, blah. So he may have felt like, wait a minute, why am I in that situation? You know what I mean? So, and he wasn't, right? But if he didn't know and there was misunderstanding, is it too late to fix all this, or is he just done with it?
No, I mean, listen, anything is possible with God. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that. I'm not mad at that dude. Like, I'm really not. I'm more disappointed, but I'm definitely not mad at that. I'm not mad at him. And then I would say, Yeah, like I just sent him, like, literally in a group text, like, just sent him TuneCore stuff from 2016, 2017 payments. So, yeah, anything is possible with God. In terms of us doing music together, I don't know. I don't know if that's ever going to happen again. Just because we have some very different worldview paradigms. Like, I view the world differently than he does. I view the world in, two people do business together, both people can win in a situation. One doesn't get up ahead. You're not building a business on the back of anybody. People build businesses together, just like track stars, just like everything I do now. So there's some paradigm shifts where if you're going into life thinking that there's always a winner and a loser in every equation, that's like a fundamental disagreement. I don't view the world that way. If you're always thinking, I'm thinking abundance. I'm thinking everybody gets rich. You know what I mean? I don't think in scarcity. I don't think in someone's a pimp, someone's a hoe. So there's just some fundamental worldview differences that I don't know if that kind of stuff is ever going to work musically. Friendship wise, I mean, I'm here, bro. I'm open. You know what I'm saying? I'm open. I've never stopped pressing into it. I've never stopped reaching out to him. And even the stuff that I would see on social media, and he said this stuff before, when he said it at the beginning of the year. So he said something about, I was in CHH for a few years, and and now I'm doing my own thing. Y'all keep trying to put me in a CHH bubble. And then somebody was like, but your old catalog is dope. And he said, well, I don't get paid off any of that. Back in January,
I do remember that.
I sent him a text message breaking down. I could send the screenshots breaking down. This is where the money's in DistroKid. This is how you go to get it. This is how you check how much you made. Like, literally in January. So I have never stopped pressing in to try and clear the air and to try to make sure that we're good. But that has to be reciprocal. Like, at some point there has to be a degree of forgiveness on his part for whatever he feels like I've wronged him in. Now we got the money, we got the numbers clear. Now you can't say I sinned against you because of the numbers. Okay, can you get past the other stuff you feel like I've wasn't transparent enough about what I spent and what came out? Okay, can you forgive me for that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the part that he's gonna have to work through.
And I hope so too. And if he ever sees this, I just hope that there can be reconciliation. I even gave you some ideas that may help, offline. But it's just sad to see. I mean, just honestly, I'm just being honest with you. I did want to go ahead, Ryan. I know you got something.
Yeah, I just want to tell Ruslan, you have given me just a breath of fresh air in the way you've handled this situation. To me, it feels like you handled it biblically, professionally. And that goes a long way, because in this genre and in this industry, and then when people see us behaving like the world, it gets us nowhere, and it gets the kingdom of God nowhere. And so I really appreciate the way you handled it. And I'm still, that's my man. That's huge, because I know a lot of times we get rubbed the wrong way. And our first defense is, I ain't messing with them no more. So that's really, really dope, man, that you would, put that out publicly. Oh,
appreciate that. And just
yo, a squirrel just ran up a tree beside me, man.
Yeah. You gotta get Ruslan. He got a lot going on, bro. You got a lot going on.
Just to piggyback that, more so than obviously I want to respond biblically to anything I do, but more so than all that, hopefully this is a learning lesson, and hopefully the artists and the aspiring people that can do labels and can wear multiple hats like I have, hopefully this is valuable for them, because it's really not about me. Like, I'm here to help other folks, help build other people's businesses up. And as long as I keep helping other people, I think I'm going to be fine. So it's really, as much as like I'm not the hero in the situation, guys. Like if anything, like I fell, like I've messed up. You know what I'm saying? The thing that I want people to get from this is that count the cost, agree upon this stuff, and be a man of your word, right? And be a man of your word, and be okay with paying people what you agreed to pay them before you get popping. Like, if you go into a situation and it's an 80-20 or a 50-50 or whatever that number, just count that. And that's what I really want people to take away is like, listen, everything sounds good when you're getting started. Everything sounds cool when you're getting started. As things get more and more popping, and as money comes into the equation, and on the other side, on the executive side, it can be hard because, again, what it would be like taking away time from your family, taking away time from your ventures, taking away time from track stars, taking away time from y'all YouTube to help and build somebody up. You have to quantify that and be extremely clear, which I was not. I was not clear on what that was costing me in physical man hours, in physical man hours in dollars, like having to multiple times bail stuff out of my own bank account because just to keep stuff afloat. And also an opportunity cost, which is a whole nother business concept that people should really dive into. You have to know the opportunity cost to take your hand off of your business to help somebody else build up their business. And if you're not being clear about those conversations up front, they could just get very messy and very dicey.
So I want to know, what would you actually do different? Because I wrote down your 5 mistakes, prematurely starting a label, mixing business with friendships, not being fully transparent about money, stuff you're saying now, listening to lawyers, not establishing your own value. Would you do something different with John? Like, I feel like
everything. I would have done everything different.
Like what? What specifically would you have done differently? Would you have still been in Dream Junkies? Like, what would be actually different?
All right. First of all, I would have stayed at 2010 and just focused on Ruslan and never started doing other stuff. Like, I really would have focused on that. I was struggling with my visual aesthetic. I was struggling with like those things. I would have really figured out a way, hire some consultants, some fashion folks, right? Hired a Ray Rock back then and really gotten that figured out and been okay, found fundamentally being okay with spending money on the front end for the coaching and the services to get me to where I wanted to be as an artist, right? And to see my own blind spots. Because that's something as an only child, I don't know if any of y'all are only children, but that's something that like I can struggle with, is just seeing your own blind spots. So fundamentally, that off rip, like I just would have stayed where I was at in 2010, where I was popping in and out doing collaboration records, do something with the Breaks, do something with Gallery Drive. But my main thing would have remained Ruslan and primarily Ruslan. And if it would have taken me longer, I would have been okay with that, because at the end of the day, everything would have been on me. So foundationally, like from the very beginning, that's what I would have done different. In the case of this, there would have been a few things I would have done different. One, I probably would have bounced after Soul Rebel and never done Good Religion. That's what I should have done. Like, because there was stuff in the middle of Soul Rebel, when we went on tour and stuff started getting big, I started kind of seeing signs that made me uneasy, and I looked the other way because I had lost money on Soul Rebel and I was trying to get my money back. I was trying to get the bread back. I should have moved on right then and there and let him go do his deal by himself with Interscope and not had anything to do in that situation. That's what I should have done. Yeah. Then after that, if for whatever reason I would have wanted to stay in the equation, I would have definitely fought and told the lawyer, no, you have to put it that we both own the masters. I don't care if it complicates whatever Interscope wants to do. That has to be in there because that's our agreement. And even though it's quote unquote standard, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And even though he signed it and his lawyer signed off on it, I would have fought for that. So I would say those 3 things. And then obviously I would have been more like transparent. I would have kept a log of every hour spent working on anything related to his record. Every hour I would have spent working on mixing for Soul Rebel, which me and Anthony Cruz mixed Soul Rebel. Every hour spent going over the marketing, creating the Instagram rollout, all of that. I would have logged every single hour. Because if I'm telling you guys this, there's no way to prove it. But if I would have kept time cards, right, maybe that would have alleviated some of that. I would have been way transparent with P&Ls. Hey, this is what came in. This is where we were short. I pulled a couple bands out of my savings. I had to replenish this. So I would have done that. Bro, and by the way, I do that now. Like every artist that I work with now gets a P&L for every album. This is what came in. This is what we spent. This is where still in the most times now we're in the black. But by and large, I would have done P&Ls for every single artist, for every single producer would have gotten those P&Ls. Everybody involved would have knew exactly what came in and exactly what went out. And it would have been a lot more work, if I'm honest. And I didn't know Excel that well back then. I've since learned Excel, so it's easier to make. Y'all know how it is with Excel. You can make P&Ls. It's fairly easy. So gosh, man, there's so much I would have done different, bro. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, man. Yeah. I think one of the questions I've always said was like, even after your breakdown of your video and you was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Here we go. We're gonna show you. Doom. And I'm watching this like I watched the whole thing yesterday. I didn't skip nothing. I just watched your video yesterday, and I was just like, that takes courage. I was say something totally different. That takes courage to do that because in this modern day time, people gonna be like, I mean, yo, it is what it is, bro. You signed it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? And I think that says something about your character to say, you know what? I'm tired. I don't want to hear this anymore. Like, dude, here's everything. Here's your stuff. If you didn't do it, I'm showing you how to do it, how to get on. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't. I mean, dude, we're hearing stories about. I mean, of course, the Diddy Mace thing. We're hearing the stories about, like you said, Big Sean and Kanye. You hearing all these stories.
Birdman and Wayne.
Yeah, like where people were just like, the CEO was like, it is what it is. And we hear stories on in this space too of other CHH labels where it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's something big on your part, man, to just say, you know what, yo, here's your masters, or here's half of the masters, or whatever.
Here's the thing, and I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you good, bro.
I would just say again, I'm not the hero in this story. The application point for everybody watching is I do view myself, and one of our values as a family is to be generous. And so if there's ever the question that Ruslan is not being generous in a situation, I'd rather go above and beyond with regards to generosity. You know what I'm saying? And I hope to in other ways, and I'm not going to get into those now, but I hope to in other ways with this situation. So for me, the idea is like, yo, err on the side of generosity in your giving to your church and your business dealings. Err on the side of generosity. Leave every situation better than you found it. And I should walk away from everything feeling like I gave more than I took. And that's really what my heart is with everything I do. So if there's ever a question that I built my career on the back of another art or any of that kind of stuff, hopefully at this point that's been dispelled, because I'm not even making money off of any of that. You know what I mean? And it wasn't that much money to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, that's another, everything looks bigger. Y'all know what comes in from Spotify. Of course. Y'all know what comes in from Apple. You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea of owning your masters, yes, it sounds good, but it really doesn't move the needle that much.
Not when you're in the long tail phase. Maybe right up top, but not when you're in the long tail. But I'm gonna push your Christianity all the way to the max, because this is what I would think of if I was dealing with this. Is it possible for you to have just taken the L, not defend your name at all, let them say lies, whatever it is, even if it was a misunderstanding? Is it possible for you to have done this and just taken the L 100%, no defense, no clearing your name, nothing at all?
Yeah, it was. That was the initial plan. It was like, my buddy who I work out with every day sent me a screen, like, was like, yo, did you see John's post, LOL? And I was like, no. And he's like, go look at it. And I'm like, oh, man. So, like, the initial response, I waited, I think, a day or two. So the initial response is like, okay, bro. You know what I mean? Like, all right, cute. You know, like, I'm not even going to address it. But when I started getting DMs from fans of mine saying, hey, man, why do you own John's Masters? Hey, man, why do you... And it wasn't like one. It was like dozens of DMs I started getting, because it's clear who he's talking about. That's when I was like, okay, you know what? Let me press into vulnerability. Let me press into transparency. Let this be a teachable lesson for everybody watching. And ultimately, man, I really believe that this moment will save other people a ton of heartache and a ton of relational blowout. Because if y'all can learn from my mistakes, then goodness gracious, you can be in such a better place and leverage the technology. Do the hard work, do the Excel sheets, do the P&Ls. I know that stuff's not sexy, but learn that skill. Like, learn that skill. Like, my thing was like, oh, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a numbers guy. You got to learn to be a freaking numbers guy at some point. You know what I'm saying? When I'm touching other people's money, which I hate, I don't do now, by the grace of God, because of DistroKid and Music Bed, paying everybody separately. I don't want any money, because that, and by the way, I also don't like how that make my taxes look. Like, I grossed this much.
Yeah, and then you gave it all back.
Like, I don't want that. Like,
it's like, I didn't. It wasn't really mine, IRS. It wasn't mine. I never had it. I had to pass it.
Right.
So yeah, I've gotten better at that. But so that would be another thing, is like, again, what are the world views and the banners we're hanging over ourselves? I was walking around with the banner that, like, oh, I'm just not a numbers guy. I'm just not good at admin. I'm not good at this. I'm not right. So in that, no, you got to learn. You got to be curious. You got to be willing to explore these other avenues if you're gonna dabble into these things. And I had to learn P&Ls, because I was like, I'm not gonna repeat the same mistakes with my artist after John. I'm not going to be in the same position where there's any questions of anything. And so they get nice little clean P&Ls, line items with everything that was spent, everything that went out. This is what was generated from the direct pre-orders. It was, and by and large, now we break even before the record even comes out.
That's good. I think the vulnerability is good. I think the transparency is good. It'll help people. I'll say this, just being transparent as well. I had a conversation with you years back when you were trying to decide on DistroKid, and you really helped us shape Nectar. I've been working on Nectar ever since that day to be like, what could we do to be a better landing spot for people like Ruslan, people like Chad that are managing all these artists? And we've been working our butts off trying to get some of those features like splits and analytics and all those kind of things. So I appreciate that conversation, man. You were honest with me. Like, it wasn't just, oh, okay, I'm just doing this, screw you. It was, these are the reasons why. And that helped us say, okay, now we got to make that happen. You know what I mean? So Nectar, a lot of the improvements we made on Nectar is because of what we talked about. So I appreciate that.
That's awesome. And hopefully, again, we're not the heroes in these situations, right? Like, you guys are trying to provide a service. I'm trying to help other people. And with Nectar going on to hopefully facilitate just cleaner business for a lot of people that are going to be using your guys' service, it makes them the winners in these situations, right? And that's fantastic. That's really encouraging to hear, man.
Yeah, I just want to give you that shout out, man, because that really kind of reframed my mind and like, okay, there's more work to be done here. We got to make this better, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but we think it's going to be worth it if we can give artists like a really good landing spot, especially in this space. People that know what you're doing, they understand the struggles you may have. So that conversation was a game changer, man. I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
All right, man. So I'll let you go. I know you're on vacation, man. Thanks for dropping by.
Yo, love you guys, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Hey.
All right, so that was Ruslan. Thank you for dropping by. So yeah, I wanted to make sure this was kind of more educational. You know what I mean? And not just just gossip and news and stuff. So hopefully that will help you guys. Like, there's a lot to learn if you go down this process. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of failure that comes along with this. So don't get discouraged, but this stuff is hard. If you're trying to really make a difference in the world and impact the culture, gonna be a lot of bumps in the road, and I pray that they can come back together one day and Jay-Z Nas' situation and we could ride off into the sunset. But it's some hurt feelings along the way. So just stay close to God, clean out your own heart. That's my recommendation for everybody. It's not always everyone else's fault. Sometimes it's you. And that hopefully will guide you as you guys build your businesses. So, all right, let's get back into it. You in the field with the track stars, Ryan Righteous, Sean 10, and DJ Jeremiah. Let's